Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Good morning. Good morning. I hope you have your coffee. Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio. I am so glad you're here. As you can tell, I can breathe a whole lot better today. Yesterday, I was feeling a little congested. Today, I am feeling much, much better. And so I think tomorrow it'll be totally gone. And I didn't really have to do too much, just a little bit of nose washing, you know. That's what happens, I think, when you're living in prevention all the time. You're taking your vitamins, you're taking your supplements, you're cutting out sugar, your high amounts of protein, your high amounts of fat. I continue to exercise. That's one thing I think, you know, unless I'm feeling really terrible, I just keep moving. I think that in the standard American medical model, they will constantly say, oh, well, you know, if you're injured, take a rest, you know, if you're not feeling good, rest. I tend to kind of feel the opposite unless you're like really ill, right? Where you're vomiting or whatever. I say keep moving. I think it keeps the body moving and it helps your detox pathways. And it's just my experience. Listen, it's my experience that I just get over things a whole lot faster rather than just sitting around rotting. You know, rotting in your recliner, just kind of, which I know a lot of people do. I have to, poke a few people around my house. My son, maybe, who wraps up in a blanket whenever he gets out. I'm like, come on, get outside, get some vitamin D, get some sunshine on that. Anyway, I'm so glad you're joining me today. I've got a great show planned for you. I want to talk about culture shaping in this country. Given, the biggest sporting event of the year has now gone down this year in America, of course, the Super Bowl. And everybody's got an opinion about the Super Bowl, right? The halftime show, the everything, everybody's got an opinion on it. 500 jets. Did you hear this one? 500 jets landed on the tarmac, the private jets, right? Private planes. 500 flew in for the Super Bowl and then flew out directly after the Super Bowl ended. And isn't that just rich, right? Isn't that just rich? Because most of those people are preaching to you on the daily about climate change and environment and saving the planet. And they all have their little NGOs attached to their brands, where they're saving the planet by saving the rainforest or, whatever NGO they have attached, which is essentially just a tax shelter, you guys. If they're making a lot of money, they have to have some kind of 501c to, funnel that money through. And that's why you see all these celebrities that have their little pet projects, right? Anyway, so they're preaching to us on one hand about how terrible we are and how we've got to save the environment. And on the other hand, they're flying in by the jet full, 500 of them to attend the Super Bowl. I mean, come on here. Need I tell you again that this is an advertising campaign for people who have heavily invested in the agenda of climate change. Anyway, so people still talking about the Super Bowl, and I happened to catch part of Candace yesterday afternoon as I was on my run, and I thought this was really interesting. She kind of brings some attention about why, how, how we're always saying, everything is fake, right? Well, views, likes, attention, downloads, this is currency in the marketplace. And it's also very much a rich man's game. And you can buy your way into the appearance of influence. And you guys, this is what happens. So you may see a YouTube video and it's from a super popular person that just kind of came out of nowhere. You don't even really know where they came from. And you look at their views and they're just tons of views. And you think, wow, I've never even heard of this person. This is interesting. Well, it turns out there are systems to build what appears like a lot of views or a lot of engagement. And Candace does a good job of explaining this about the TPUSA halftime show. Take a listen.
Different views. So that was adding up all of Rumble and all of our partners just on the social side. And now the numbers keep trickling in. I mean, right now as I'm sitting here, YouTube's numbers keep updating. And so we're trying to put it all together. What I can safely say is that we are now over 20 million viewers across just social. So we haven't even gotten our partner broadcasters, their analytics. As you know, sometimes the ratings take a little while, but that's 20 million viewers. And we don't know how many people were gathered together, 3, 4, 10 in a room watching together. So we're going to try and put a final number on that when we can. What we can safely say is over 20 million Americans tuned in to the All-American halftime show tonight.
That's what he can safely say. Now, for people who have been on YouTubers, so to speak, like myself, for more than 10 years, I was just in awe that they were going to try to sell this, that they were going to do what he did with his face and just lie and pretend that 6 million I think he even at one point says 10 million, but it says 6 million concurrent viewers they had on YouTube alone. Okay. If you know YouTube at all, that's just not true on its face. It's actually, I laughed when I saw, I was like, this is actually crazy. I can't believe they're actually going to try to pull this off. And I'm going to walk you through this so you don't even have to have my background on YouTube to understand why this number is impossible. First and foremost, you can just do this test. What do we have? Right now, we have 95,000 people that are watching this show. As soon as this show concludes, I want you to see how many views YouTube is going to instantly give it right away. It's probably going to be something like 200,000 to 300,000 views right away as it continues to tabulate. This is a screenshot of their viewership after 6 million people tuned in concurrently at the exact same time. So that was 6 million people watching, like we have 95,000 people watching right now on YouTube. As soon as they finished, look at that 5,839 views with 175 comments. That is an impossible metric. But 667,000 likes. This is made up. But again, like I said, maybe you're not familiar with how YouTube works. So allow me to present it to you another way so you can really drill into your head how despicable this organization has become and to just know.
What's going on, right? When you look at something like this, it's got 5,000 views and 667,000 likes. And then like 170 something comments. Like, I haven't been on YouTube very long because they kicked me off a long time ago. But I know enough to know what the metrics look like organically. And let me tell you, something's not quite right here. Something is not quite right. So maybe you're asking yourself, like, why? Why do people do this, right? You can buy likes, you can buy followers. Why do people do this? I wanted to understand it more. Why do people do this? And so I just started doing some, rudimentary research here, inflating numbers on your social media account or a platform like YouTube, because humans are wired to follow signals of popularity. And platforms are built to reward perceived momentum, not necessarily truth. So the mechanism's clear psychologically and economically. Social proof overrides discernment. Humans evolved to ask one core survival question: what are other people paying attention to? That's how we're wired. And so when we inflate numbers on social media, when there's a whole market to help you inflate your followers, help you inflate your likes, help you inflate your views, and this is happening. And so I just think it's important that we talk about it, because this is what gets us in a space where we're like, am I crazy? Wow. 20 million people viewing this. Am I like, why don't I like this? Why didn't I why did I not set a timer on my phone? 20 million people are watching this. Is this really where we are? That was my thought. And not that there's anything wrong with this halftime show. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Kid Rock and I think that's great. But you are a primarily Christian organization. And I just feel like this is kind of gross to be playing the game like this. I think anybody who does it who's gross, not just TPUSA. Obviously, Candace has an axe to grind here with them for her own reasons. But I just thought this was a good example of what's going on. What's going on? So when you see even like a lefty type of video, you got to ask yourself, are people really tuning into this? Or is this pay to play? Because it's happening. High numbers on a YouTube channel, high numbers on a social media platform, high numbers of followers. It signals to other people that this content is worthy, it's safe, it has authority. It's relevant, and I want to belong. So when people see like say 500,000 subscribers on YouTube and 1 million views and it's trending, their brain shortcuts logic and assumes this must be valuable. Everybody thinks this is valuable. This must be valuable. So most people do not independently evaluate content first. They evaluate signals first. How many views does this have? How many likes does it? Who's talking about this? And if we're paying to create that illusion, then that, everybody, is culture control. And that's, of course, what I talk about here on All the Time. We're being controlled by an algorithm. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. I'm so glad you're here.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Hey, do you ever go to BitChute? I bet you do. I know you do, because you all love the rabbit hole. And the rabbit hole sometimes takes you to BitChute. So if you're on BitChute from time to time, make sure you follow us at Tammy Cuthbert Garcia and share it with somebody who you know also enjoys BitChute. We can't do this without your support. And the best way to support the show is to share it and become part of the Naturally Inspired community. 2 best ways that you can support us in this content and helping our country, our citizens connect to real solutions for health is by sharing Naturally Inspired Radio. So do it today on BitChute at Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. So here's some other facts about why people buy followers, buy likes, create momentum around content in order to shape our culture. I feel offended by it. And the reason why I feel offended by it, because it's not signaling to me a true temperature, if you will, of what my fellow citizens actually care about. And come on, you guys, some of this content, I'm not saying the TPUSA show was bad because I didn't watch it. I have no idea. And I love Kid Rock and stuff. So I'm not like saying anything bad about that. Okay. Just using this as an example that sometimes I'm like, I feel disconnected from my peers, my fellow citizens here in the country, because I'm like, why is everybody watching that? It's stupid. You know, they're trying to hijack your attention. And there can't be that many people. There can't be millions of people that are watching that. Can there? It creates distance between us in our culture. Because we're walking around thinking, man, there's so many people that think this way. They watch that stuff. Like, I think we really witnessed that during COVID, especially because we felt very isolated in our belief system when we were like, man, I don't think a mask is the right way to go. I don't really think. And everything on social media that said to the contrary was being censored. And so we started to think, oh, Lord, am I literally the only one that thinks? And so when people went out in public, they expected to be challenged if they didn't wear a mask. So many people just wore it. When in reality, Do you see what I'm saying? Like the virtual was creating a tone. It was creating a belief system. Yet many of us inside were thinking, I don't think that's the way to go. That doesn't seem right. What are they talking about? Bit shoot, right? What do masks work? Like we started doing all the research and we're like, oh yeah, this is complete crap. This isn't real. But because when you went back on Facebook and the Instagram and the places where they weren't allowing anything, you're like, my Lord, everybody's disagreeing with me. And so when we went outside, we were like, oh gosh, I don't want the headache. I don't want the problems. And I think a lot of people succumb to that. Now, if you're a psycho like me, you did not succumb and you were like, no, I refuse, right? I know you're laughing right now because you're just like me and you did the same thing. But there was a lot of people who didn't. They just didn't want the smoke, if you will. They didn't want the fight. They didn't want the challenge. And that shaped our culture. So what happened online, which was being manipulated, translated into reality and made people do things that they really didn't want to do. I know this is true. You know how I know? Because I went into my local dollar store during the, height of the mask, and everybody in there was wearing a mask. And I went in without a mask. Nobody said anything to me until a young mom walked up to me and said, thank you so much for not wearing a mask. Like, I know you're right. Even my doctor, she was like, I have a really good doctor. And even he told me the mask was stupid, but I can't do it. I've got a baby with me. And I just wear the mask because I cannot get into arguments with people. And I totally understand that. I don't have small kids anymore. That's why I'm doing it. I don't know what I would have done. I probably wouldn't have taken my small kids out in public. I don't know. You can't say unless you're in that situation at that time. And so, yeah, but no, I wasn't wearing a mask. So I know that many people did it just because they didn't want to deal with it. They weren't in these circumstances at the time to deal with it. So what else is that shaping? Who cares about the TPUSA show? Like, is that really impacting our culture? Slightly, they're trying to play a game here, making people think that people are supporting TPUSA, when I think people have a lot of questions about TPUSA right now. Even people who don't agree with Candace necessarily, they just have a lot of questions. There's a lot of memes floating around about the sparkly pantsuit and the pyrotechnics going off and all the hubbub and the full speed ahead and the $240 million raised. There's a lot of questions about that. Regardless of what Candace thinks, there's just a lot of questions. So I don't know that many people really did tune in to a halftime show. So let's go back to the second clip here of Candace, where she explains a little bit more about how this manipulation goes down. Take a watch.
The top YouTube streams based off of concurrent viewership. We're going to go through this list so that you fully appreciate what you are being asked to believe. Everything is a rich man's trick. That's what's happening right now. This is the highest live concurrent viewers on YouTube. These were the events. Number one was in India. That is a nation of 1.5 billion people. They had a moon mission and 8 million people in India tuned into it. That is believable, okay? Turning Point wants you to believe that they're number 2 now, okay? The next 2 through 20 are all proper football, meaning soccer in America, events. You can see it's the World Cup, it is the biggest sport in the world. And when people streamed it, it looks like the 2022 World Cup comes into the second spot, Brazil versus Croatia. When it was streamed on YouTube, 6.1 million people tuned in. Again, this is the biggest sport in the world, soccer. They're trying to tell us that football, which only has a hold in America, this is a sport literally for America, and then Turning Point USA comes and they divide the fans by saying, we're doing just a conservative halftime sport. So they even halved their potential to appeal to half of the football, people that are watching football. And then on top of that, the people who are divided because they just don't like what Turning Point USA has become since Charlie was assassinated, and that their loose relationship with the truth since Charlie was assassinated. They want you to believe that in spite of all of that, they are now, they're number 2. They broke the record. So bye-bye football around the world. It's now Turning Point USA. 6 million people turned in live to watch their Kid Rock and Lee Bryce. And there was a couple of other artists that were involved, pre-recorded performance. Okay. Now, my understanding in looking at this is that this is it. They're going to force Erica on us. Like I said, this is the Kamala thing. There's absolutely nothing we can do about it. We just got our hands up. We are literally victims here. They have the money, they have the power, and we're going to shut up and we're going to take it. And we're going to have to accept this audacious polling. It's going to be Andrew Colbert up on Fox News. Like, it's amazing. She is more popular than Cristiano Ronaldo.
It's manipulated. And the question is, why? Why and how much of what we're seeing is manipulated and bought and paid for? I mean, I see this, you guys, I've been in podcasting now since 2019. And when I came into podcasting, I had no idea what it was about. I didn't care about views. And I still don't care about that stuff. I can't. If I cared about that stuff, I would not be doing what I'm doing, because it feels like the whole thing is orchestrated, directed, it's pay to play, and I simply just do not have the power, the money to pay to play. I just don't. I do it because I have real connections with you, and I'm making a real difference in people's lives by connecting them to real solutions for health, changing the course of their lives. And you all let me know that all the time. So that's the purpose of the show that I do. My model doesn't rely on views, thankfully. It doesn't rely on manipulating the algorithm. You've got to have some big money behind you to do that kind of thing. So it's interesting when you figure out who's doing that. And since I've been in podcasting, I've had conversations with other podcasters, and, it's always about flexing how many views you have. And I've got 10 million downloads and listen, just be careful with that, because the numbers can be manipulative. They can be manipulated, and they can be manipulative to you. Wow, 10 million, 10 million. Wow, that's crazy. That's wildly successful. So why? Algorithms reward momentum, not meaning. Okay. Platforms don't ask, is this wise? Is this helpful? Is this true? Is it healthy? They ask, is this moving fast? Is engagement rising? Is retention above baseline? Inflated numbers create artificial velocity, early traction, algorithmic confidence, and once momentum is signaled, the platform then amplifies. Real users get pulled in, and the lie becomes self-reinforcing. The algorithm doesn't verify reality. Okay? The algorithm doesn't verify reality. It follows patterns. Inflated numbers unlock access. Big numbers open doors to brand deals, sponsorships, media appearances, speaking gigs, verification badges, partnerships, funding. And most gatekeepers do not audit engagement deeply. So they don't look past the numbers on the surface. They rely on surface metrics. They assume platforms already filtered quality. So inflated numbers equals shortcut to legitimacy. And people are afraid to dissent from popularity. Stay tuned. Let's talk more about it. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. Stay tuned.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Support our community that is the Naturally Inspired community. You get weekly wellness workshops on Tuesday nights, priority access to my health text line. So pretty much free coaching for just being a customer of Naturally Inspired. So get into the Naturally Inspired community today by making your first purchase of over $50 or more at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Support the community, support the show, support real solutions for health, and help me change the medical model in this country. That is what I started this whole thing for back in 2019, is to make an impact on the medical model because I knew it was hurting people. So you support that mission every time you make a purchase with Naturally Inspired. So head to naturallyinspiredstore.com today. I'm so grateful for your support, and our children are grateful for your support because we definitely don't want to leave them this predatory model. Okay, so why is this so important? The other thing I wanted to talk about today with the whole, reality versus virtual reality. The interesting thing about the halftime show and this TPUSA show is both were really tailored for online viewership. They weren't tailored for live experience. So even the Bad Bunny show, my daughter's a dancer, so she was telling me who she knew in the Bad Bunny show because, she's learning from professionals. She's like in the industry. She's learning from professionals in dancing. And so she knew a lot of the choreographers that were dancing and partook in the halftime show. So she sent me the show, and what I was able to see from the viewership on YouTube was a completely different experience as to what people saw in reality. In reality, from the stands, you couldn't see anything. I mean, you just saw a bunch of tall grass and a few bodies moving around. It was really not a performance for live viewership. And let me tell you, you're paying a lot of money for those tickets at the Super Bowl. I mean, remember when Prince performed at the Super Bowl? I mean, it was incredible, right? It was open. You could see everything. This was different. It was different. It was shot for online viewership. And the TPUSA show also shot for online viewership. It was pre-recorded and edited. So we're tailoring everything to online, again, driving people online rather than real human connection. A live show is exhilarating, right? It's like you get to connect to the frequency and the creativity of the artist. And that seems to be downplayed more and more. But here's the thing. I think as we move towards the digital revolution, your humanness is going to crave this live experience. It's going to be, you're going to want to come back to it because this is going to get very boring. I mean, I already see social media so boring. It's pretty boring. You know, it's the same stuff over and over again. They're trying to keep you online. You know it. You know a lot of it's not even true. Like when everything's artificial, or it could be artificial in terms of like AI, don't you find yourself viewing videos now and you're like, yeah, I got no idea if that's real or fake. It doesn't quite have the impact as it does when you know something is real, right? So there's just like, if everything can be fake, then it's like, it's desensitizing to the viewer. So the only way and you know, you can mark my words on this, the new content is going to actually go to less polished, less perfect, and streaming, where someone's actually moving and speaking, and you can see their eyes blinking, and you can tell that it's real. I think that's what the human brain is going to crave as we move forward in the digital revolution, which I think is a good thing. I think it's going to filter out a lot of this, you know, fake stuff that is so hard to determine whether it's real or not. And it's going to impact content creators too, and people who curate their Instagrams down to the, you know, little minute detail. It's boring. Anybody can do it now, right? You can AI yourself in a Rolex. You can AI yourself in a jet or whatever. Like, it's not impressive anymore. And I hope that trend continues. I hope more people start thinking, yeah, I just want to hear a real human. I want to hear your real human story, the trials that you've been through. I want to see you, express your life's journey in a way that I can connect to, that's relatable. We're tired of worshiping the elites, whatever you want to call them. Celebrity worship, especially now we know that you're all a bunch of pedophile baby eaters. I laugh because I don't, it's crazy. It's so absurd. This is why people call it a conspiracy theory, because it's actually so absurd. It's hard to wrap your brain around. But once you know what these people practiced and the fact that they are a part of a cult and they have cult rituals and they do this stuff, more and more people are starting to understand that. And we don't want any part of your weird, bizarre, crazy, disgusting, revolting practices. And so why are we going to watch you anymore online? Watch your friends. Watch your friends. Watch your community. Watch people. Like I tell you, I get to talk to people every single day all over the country. And y'all are fascinating. The things that you've been through, where you live, why you live there, what your health journey has been like, how you just put your foot in the, drew a line in the sand and we're like, I'm not doing that anymore. I told my doctor, forget it. And my doctor knows I'm not doing that. Like, y'all have a lot of courage, bravery. You're out there. But if you get online, we're hard pressed to find each other. We're hard pressed to find each other. And that makes us feel isolated. That makes us feel like we're not included in the culture, that we are really not connected to our citizenry. And I don't think it's true. I think this manipulation of numbers, followers, views, this pay-to-play model is tricking us into thinking that we are outside the norm and that we can't connect to our peers. I've seen it over and over again. There's been doctors and health professionals that I've followed for years who used to be very gung-ho, same as me, food first, supplementation, vitamins, minerals, plants, heal, like all the same stuff that I'm saying to you now. They were saying, the same thing years ago. And slowly but surely, I've seen them get whittled down. And now they're appearing in popular places with a lot of views, not with the same message. Not with the same message. They've had to, tweak their message from GLPs will kill you. They'll destroy you. GLP drugs, they have negative effects, from that message to, well, I'm a little concerned about the GLP ones, I'm a little concerned. I think we call that selling out. I think that's what we call it. If you're Gen X, you call it sellout. But I understand why, because it's very difficult to feel isolated. It's very difficult to be out there on your own where you feel like maybe the audience you're speaking to doesn't exist, or that you're alone in your thinking. And so that's why I think it's so important that we understand a lot of the content out there is being manipulated. And this was a great example of that, because I don't know how you get 5,000 views and 667,000 likes on something. That's a lot of people hitting the like button, right? I don't know. Deals are being made. Deals are being made, and money talks, and these platforms, there are ways to manipulate them, even in the podcast field. Attention economics favors appearance over outcomes. In the attention economy, which is what I think we're coming out of it, actually, but the attention economy, perception equals value, value attracts money, money buys more perception. This loop is why shallow creators scale faster than deep ones. Entertainers outperform educators. Performative certainly beats thoughtful nuance. Advertisers buy reach, not truth. So brands are trained to look at impressions, reach, subscriber count, not necessarily comment quality, community trust, or conversion, or integrity. Inflating number raises perceived return on investment, justifies higher ad rates, masks weak conversion until it collapses. The uncomfortable truth, inflating number works. It works. And that's why it's everywhere. But it comes with hidden costs. You don't really have true connection with your audience. There's a problem with trust. There's fragility in your reputation. Eventually it could come out, So especially this conflicts with instincts for most people. Again, it makes you feel separated, right? It makes you feel really separated. But it happens not just on YouTube. It's not just isolated to one specific platform. I think it's across the board, even in, podcast views, especially. Those can be inflated. So just keep that in mind the next time you're feeling like, am I an alien? I don't understand why everybody likes this or whatever. It might not be true. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. Coming up next is your Naturally Inspired Moment.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448 We look forward to working with you.
You can work with me for better health. Book your assessment today at naturallyinspiredstore.com. That's naturallyinspiredstore.com to join the Naturally Inspired community. Get your free assessment with me where we can get you on the road to optimum health. I was thinking during the break that there's so much health content out there, and that's like blows your mind. And one thing that we have to use discernment, I talked about this, I think last week, was that there's kind of a split in the like health and wellness space. We have this like group that's really focused on aesthetics under the umbrella of health and wellness, but it's really more about aesthetics. So you see a lot of these viral videos going around for like, injections for peptides or hormones or what have you. And like, that's what ends up getting a lot of the views in the space, because as a community, looking for solutions to health issues, we tend to want a quick fix. And that's what gets a lot of views, is people that are pitching you a quick fix. Please hear me, because this is so important. A lot of these quick fixes are dangerous in the pharmaceutical world. They are dangerous. There really is no such thing as a quick fix. And I know we all want that. The quick fix is the thing that you start now. You want the quickest route to fixing something? Start now. Start now. Start with your nutrition. Get in a community, get in this community where you can be supported and you can start getting those actions, in a system where you can go on repeat. And every single time you complete one of those actions, you're getting closer to where you want to be. You're transforming into the person you need to be to achieve optimum health. So for today's Naturally Inspired Moment, I'm talking about consistency. This is it. You want a quick fix? Consistency. That's the antidote to whatever ails you. Consistency. So for today's Naturally Inspired Moment, let's talk 5 ways to develop consistency in your habits. So I was recently reading a book that's called Atomic Habits. So I've pulled a few things from that book and then added a few things in here too that I think are relevant. So let's hit them. Number 1, shrink the habit until it's impossible to fail. Consistency doesn't come from intensity. A lot of people think, I'm going to start out, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, have you ever been around people like that before? They haven't run for years. They haven't exercised for years, but they run out and they buy all the gadgets, right? They buy the gadgets, they buy the outfit, they buy the shoes, and they're going to go, and it's a little too intense. It's a little too intense. And that's not really what we should be working on, is getting the motivation to make this big, this big act of something to get going. What we should be focusing on is the repeatability of the action. So, like, say you want to go from, here's a small one just off the top of my head. Like, say you right now you're currently putting like 3 sugars in your coffee. A repeatable action would be ditching the sugar, and maybe doing some heavy cream in your coffee. That you can get up every morning and do. You may not like it at first. You may go through a little bit of, I miss my sugar, but that's repeatable. That's repeatable. So focus on the things that are repeatable. If the habit feels heavy, it's too big. Like, oh my gosh, I went out and bought all this stuff and I got to get all this stuff on before I go out for my run every day. That's a big shift, from going from a sedentary lifestyle to that, right? That's a big shift. So if it feels too heavy, it's too big. A 5-minute walk done daily beats a 1-hour workout done occasionally. So true. Okay. Number 2, attach the habit to something you already do. Habits stick when they're anchored. Okay. So pair your new habit with an existing routine. Hydration before coffee. So if you want to start with a little lemon water in the morning, you can do a prayer before you allow, do a little quiet time where I say, stop the inputs. Do that before you pick up your phone every day. That's a big one. That can change a lot right there. So it's also called stacking a habit. So you stack something onto something that already is established, right? If you love listening to podcasts, right? Put your podcast on and go for a walk. Makes it more enjoyable. Design your environment to support the habit. This teaches that environment shapes behavior more than motivation. If the habit is visible, convenient, and friction-free, consistency increases automatically. So make the right habit easier than the wrong one. Oh, this is good for storing food, right? Making sure that you have the right food in your house. If you are eating high protein, then you need to have a lot of options for protein in your house. If you have a lot of options for carbohydrates, what happens? You end up eating carbohydrates, right? So design your environment to support that habit of reaching for protein instead of carbohydrates. Number 4, focus on identity, not outcomes. One of these, this comes from the book Atomic Habits, is identity-based change. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Everything requires a system. This is so true. If you do not have a system for the goal that you have, you're just throwing something at the wall and seeing if it's going to stick. The first thing you need to design is the system for success when it comes to your health, especially. So that means, you have a system. You get up every morning, you have that lemon water. Then you have your coffee. You're going to have your coffee with the heavy cream. You're going to have everything in place to move through that system. You've got to build a new system of healthy habits to transform into the person that you need to be in order to sustain optimum health results. You are not where you want to be in your health, not because you're weak, not because you don't know what to do, not because of any reflection of your character. You are where you are in your health because you lack systems. You lack the right system that will take you to the result that you are after, which is optimum health. So we have to design a system that works for you. That's what I do in the community. So like today I was texting back and forth with someone and when are you going to eat? Like, what's your feasting window like? Well, I work from this time to that time, so I can't really do. Great. This is the feasting window that works best for you. I love it. That's awesome. We have one part of the system in place. You're going to eat from this time to this time and not before and not after, because that's going to support your metabolic health. That's one part of the system. Next part is like, when are you going to go get the fuel that you need to make sure that you have adequate amounts of protein to reach for? Is that shopping day like on Sundays? Is it on Saturdays? Like these are the little pieces that have to be organized into a system to help you achieve the final outcome that you want. Track the habit, not the result. This is a good one. So we emphasize tracking consistency, not perfection. Okay. So the goal isn't flawless execution, because you're human and you're never going to do that. You're never going to be perfect. It's never missing twice, right? So when you track behavior, habits compound even when results lag. So progress comes from showing up, not from instant feedback. So important. That's why I say it's not about never falling off track, like falling off the wagon, whatever you want to call it, never making a mistake. It's about focusing on how fast you can get back on track, because too many times we have these old stories in our mind, like, oh, I ate a cookie as soon as I got to work and I wasn't going to do that. So the whole day's ruined. And then that day turns into later that day, well, I ate a cookie and then I had a sandwich and then you know what? I'm not going to work out today. I'm just going to start fresh tomorrow. It doesn't have to be that way. That is actually not how life works, right? Life is much more nuanced, and sometimes we get off on track. So how fast can you get back on track? That is the skill set that you need to develop. The skill set that says, oh, yeah, I messed that up. Okay, boom, right back on track. Right back on track. And a lot of this is about your thoughts, right? Because the thoughts that we have create our actions. They drive our actions. So if we can get in front of the thought, then we can really start transforming quickly. If we're not paying attention to our thoughts, we can have 3 or 4 thoughts in a matter of seconds that could drive our actions clear away from the outcome we want. Right? Just thinking, oh, it's cold outside. I really don't want to go for a walk at lunch. Well, you know what? You shouldn't go for a walk because it is cold outside and you didn't really bring your jacket. And yeah, you know what? I think I won't go for a walk at lunch. And it's 8:00 in the morning. Right? You're already driving your thought process to miss your walk for the day. Now, you get good at practicing this. You get that one thought that's like, oh, it's cold outside. And then you kind of laugh at yourself. You're starting to make an excuse. What are you doing? What are you doing? Right? You're starting to make an excuse. The next thought that comes is, oh, you didn't have a jacket. Now you got 2 excuses. Then you got 3 excuses. Then you got 4. And then, you have to laugh because this is the human experience. We're all fighting against the path of least resistance, right? We want to be comfortable as humans. But the truth is, being uncomfortable makes us better humans. It's kind of a joke, right? Like not a funny joke, right? Like you're drawn to doing the things that make you comfortable. You're actually designed to do the things that make you uncomfortable, to grow, to take you to where you want to be. That's the human experience, everybody. We're all in it. We're so much more alike than we ever know. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. Stay tuned because hour 2 is coming right up.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. NaturallyInspiredRadio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Welcome back. Welcome to hour 2 of Naturally Inspired Radio. If you missed the first hour, we're talking about culture control as usual, talking about how, what we see, why we see it, is being kind of manipulated in the virtual space online. It completely confuses, what we think is important. We are concerned about, what's going on with craziness with Epstein, whether those people are ever going to be brought to justice, but the algorithm will tell you that a halftime show got 20 million views. It's very manipulative, and it's hard to know what your peers are really thinking, and caring about more importantly. I don't know about you, but I want to feel more connected to you. I want to feel more connected to my fellow citizens. I think we all want that. But I think the algorithm wants something else. I think powerful people who can afford to manipulate on platforms, they're more concerned about what the algorithm can do for them. And so we got to keep that in mind so we don't feel so isolated. So much stuff going on in the news right now. And I would love to hear from you in the comments too. Like, what does everybody think is going on with the Savannah Guthrie thing? Right? With her mom disappearing and stuff. I got no clue what's going on there. But, given how things work, and gosh, darn it, if I'm just that type that just is like, what, just that conspiracy theorist type that you have to be kind of just completely out of the loop, right? To think that this is like, there could be more behind this story. Maybe you think, I don't know. I don't have any like real leads on it. I don't really understand what's going on there. But anyway, drop it in the chat what you guys think, because I'd like to know what you all are thinking about that. And a lot of things that, just again, that chaos, right? That chaos that traps us in distraction instead of turning inward to develop our own higher faculties and use discernment. Yeah, it's crazy times. Let's get to your Americana here, because of course we're always talking about American culture, because you do indeed have an American culture. My goodness, I am grateful for it. I have to just shout out to all the Canadians there that listen all the time. God bless you. I'm praying for you, because the insanity that I am seeing over there in Canada, I don't even have words for it. I don't even recognize Canada anymore from what I see coming out of like news there. Yeah, I grew up in a Canadian culture where, we were known for being polite, but also direct and telling it like it was. Yeah, I just feel really bad for Canadians, because I know there's a lot of you out there who identify with what I'm saying about the old Canada. And it feels completely lost now. And I don't even live there. But the information I get out of Canada is it feels completely lost to most of you. And I think more and more people are starting to understand that now. So anyway, a shout out to Canadian culture, old school Canadian culture. I don't know what this new school Canadian culture even is. But man, and I think back to growing up in Canada, there was definitely culture to be proud of there. So shout out to you Canadians. I know we've got a lot of you listening. I don't ever want to skim over that, when I'm always talking about American culture. But let me tell you, Americans need this. They need to reconnect to their culture. They do. They've been browbeaten and they've been put down. And so that's why I take time every show to talk about American culture, because I find it so important right now to connect people to their culture. So today, because we were talking about the manipulation of information and whatnot, I wanted to focus on this trait of American culture, and that is the free press. Okay, why free press is so central to American culture? Because it is. It's more central here in America than anywhere else. It's valued. We throw it around like a trump card, This is free speech, free press. It's what we're about here. And we see that just melting away in other countries, right? They try to copy us with their fake free press, I guess. I don't know. But here's why it's so important to America, and that we have to really push back to keep it alive, is because America was born arguing, people. We were born arguing. Free press wasn't a side feature. It was the engine of independence. Before America was a nation, it was a conversation carried by pamphlets, newspapers, and printers willing to challenge power. Nowadays, I think we've lost the thread on that. People are afraid of healthy confrontation. I'm not talking about unhealthy confrontation, right? I'm not talking about violence. I'm not talking about, don't you see that? That so many people would rather avoid confrontation completely because the idea has been captured through emotion that if you don't agree with somebody, well, then you must not like them. Like it's an identity flaw. You have to not like somebody who doesn't agree with you. We got to get rid of that because that's not the core culture of America. The core culture of America is, I don't think so. I think this. Well, I don't think that. I think this. But you don't aim to silence the person who you're having a healthy confrontation with. You flesh out the idea and you move on, and you don't have to assassinate their character either. You can pick holes in their argument. That's really very American and comes from American culture. So where it started is colonies were ruled by the British Crown and governors controlled speech. Criticism of authority could land you in jail, but the colonies were spread out and locally governed and fiercely independent and literate, especially compared to Europe. Printing presses became the town square in America. This says the case that changed everything was the Zenger trial. John Peter Zenger was a New York printer arrested in 1734 for criticizing the colonial governor. At the time, truth was not a defense. Criticizing government meant criminal libel. But Zenger's lawyer argued if something is true, it should never be a crime to point it out or to print it. The jury refused to convict him, and the moment planted this idea: the press exists to check power, not to serve it. That belief spread through the colonies like wildfire. And Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense, and he sold 500,000 copies, and that was huge for the time. That turned rebellion into a popular movement. Without pamphlets like this, there is no revolution. And Ben Franklin, printer first, statesman second, believed free press, educated citizens, limited corruption, strengthened self-rule. He saw printing as an infrastructure for liberty. Thomas Jefferson famously said, "Were it left to me to decide whether we should have a government without newspapers or newspapers without a government, I should not hesitate a moment to prefer the latter." That was a worldview. It became the First Amendment because First Amendment protects speech, religion, assembly, petition, press. And it's first because the founders believe power always corrupts. Citizens must be informed. Dissent must be protected. Truth emerges through conflict, not control. That's what I'm talking about with healthy confrontation. Because the truth we need to flesh it out. We need to flesh the truth out. We've got to have a tennis match of sorts and be like, what about this? Well, what about that? Did you consider this? Did you consider? And that is what has been squashed over the last decade or so. And it's falsely manipulated, which makes the American public knows fact from fiction. You know, most people are reasonable. Now, we've always had people on the fringe, and we can tolerate people on the fringe. We can include people on the fringe when they don't become so fringy that we become untethered from the foundational principles of the culture of the country. And that was what was starting to happen with woke culture, right? We were being bullied. Words like bigot and racism and all these, nobody wants to be called that. Those words were being weaponized against us. And so we were unsure of how to proceed and protect this American way of free press. But this is the obvious truth, right? So that's what we were getting, bullied out of. These things were obvious. But we're like, what is going on here? Because we're trying to protect the right of free speech, but also it's being manipulated. Anyway, free speech is part of your American culture, and there's nowhere else like America for free speech. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredраdio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Do you listen to your podcasts on Spotify? If you do, make sure you follow us on there at Naturally Inspired Radio. We are on Spotify. And while you're there, might as well share it with somebody, right? I mean, share real solutions for health with somebody that you love, that you know could benefit from this information. So follow us on Spotify, share it with a friend, family member at Naturally Inspired Radio. Let's get into some news, because good old Latipo down there in Florida, I tell you, if I ever get to meet him, I'm going to give him a big hug, because he's very impressive. I really like Joe Latipo down in Florida, as I've said many times. But man, my friend Dr. William Mackis is down in Florida. You remember Dr. Mackis? He came and spoke at the Naturally Inspired Health Summit last year. I think not enough people knew who he was last year, but I have a sneaking suspicion, as I do. Sometimes I'm right about these things. And that's why I invited him last year. He's making some headway down there. He got his Dr. William Mackis got his Florida medical license. So he's leaving Canada. Can't say I blame him. Leaving Canada. And he's got his license to practice down there in Florida. And lo and behold, if you wouldn't know it, this is Dr. Joe Latipo's announcement. Take a listen.
Announced last week is that we're going to be funding research through the Florida Cancer Innovation Fund that specifically will be targeting generic drugs that for which there may not be a financial incentive for the private sector to make investments in. And one of those that we've heard, a lot about in terms of, what people are saying in public, really a lot of lay people, some cancer physicians also, is ivermectin and other parasitic drugs too. I mean, it's interesting. I actually had a conversation with Dr. Mattis from Canada over the weekend, and he shared with me his experiences treating thousands of patients. And it's definitely an area that should be investigated further in terms of patients that may benefit from adding, not replacing, but adding something like ivermectin to their chemotherapeutic regimen. Based on, certainly from my conversation here, learning about his experience, it absolutely is something that should be studied further. And we're hoping to be able to study some of that, to fund some of that work through the Florida Cancer Innovation Fund, which is a MAHA.
It's a MAHA agenda. Yeah. Because you see, we don't get the money allocated to study things that don't make money in the marketplace. This is one of the fundamental problems with science, right? Don't you just you're just tired of the word science? I know I am. It's like, I'm just tired of it. I don't even, it's been a word that was weaponized and you don't believe in science. No, I don't believe in corruption. I don't believe in gatekeeping solutions because they don't produce profits for big corporations. That's what I don't believe in. I believe in, let's get to some answers here. We have a ton of money flowing into these nonprofits, which we have had for decades. And we don't have any solutions. We don't appear to be any closer today to cures or what have you, or understanding. I think we're coming at it from the wrong point of view. We're searching for a cure when we should be searching for root cause. We should be searching for root cause. Understanding of root cause is what we should be searching for. But suspiciously, nobody wants to fund that research. Because we have an interesting statistic that 97% of all dis-ease, chronic dis-ease, comes from lifestyle. It comes from your habits every day. What you put in your mouth, how you move your body, what you're exposed to. Instead, those aren't the questions that your doctors are asking, that your so-called experts, researchers, scientists, whatever, those aren't the questions that they're asking. They're not asking what you could have been exposed to that has caused dysfunction in your body. And that to me is that's where you got to start. You've got to start with root cause. What have you ingested? What have you injected? What have you inhaled that has set off dysfunction in your body? What? Oh, it just happens. It just happens. Well, it's genetic. You're doomed. No. You were born whole. You were born healthy, right? For the most part, most people are born. There are genetic disorders. I'm not discounting that. But for the most part, you're born healthy. You have everything you need. What's happened that has gotten you away from optimum health? Let's figure that out. We're starting to figure that out. We're starting to ask those questions. They're starting to ask those questions down in Florida. Oh my gosh, we got some arsenic in these candies. That's a problem. Oh, we've got some glyphosate in the bread. That's a problem. Oh, we've got these dyes that we know cause hyperactivity. That's a problem. That's a problem. Now, compound that ingesting those chemicals every day sometimes. People eat a lot of the same foods day in and day out. And what do we have? We have a distinct pathway to disease. But no, we can't stop eating that stuff. We can't seem to get the poison out of that stuff. But we can treat you. We'll treat you with a little bit of poison. Make it make sense. right? How about we stop putting the poison in? There's a novel idea, right? Like, unfortunately, that can't be patented, right? That can't be bottled. It can't be sold back to you. But people are waking up to this every single day. And the culture is changing. It is changing. And Florida is leading the way. What else do we have going on? Let's talk about, this little clip from Jimmy Dore.
Kennedy Jr., trying to convince you the science of connecting autism to vaccines, which you can tell me about the science there, to the point where you had to block him?
Well, I mean, you guys, everybody, texts take up your phone time. He was relentless, page after page after page. So I just told him he's confused causation with correlation, the same old problem. Just because somebody got a vaccination and then somebody else got autism doesn't mean one caused the other. This is science. This is a long time. So that is, Mr. Kennedy's views have been debunked up and down.
So has Mr. Kennedy's views been debunked up and down, or is this another pretend scientist pushing propaganda that he doesn't know anything about?
Bill Nye is a stand-up comedian. He's got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and he's never really worked in industry. He's worked a lot taking money from, GMO manufacturers, vaccine manufacturers, pharmaceutical manufacturers. And so, yeah, he knows where his bread is buttered. But, obviously, the science that he quotes that quote unquote shows that vaccines don't cause autism, you could drive a Mack truck through. When they say that, they're talking about one vaccine, that's the MMR, one vaccine component, thimerosal, and even those studies are flimsy and fraudulent at best. The rest of the vaccination schedule, the CDC, the FDA, the National Institutes of Health, they've never studied. Okay, so again, there's a huge hole. You look at the vaccination schedule, you look at the vaccines that are laid out in the vaccination schedule, they've never been studied together, and they've never been studied for.
I love Dr. Brian Hooker. Everyone, I think, should first of all, he's a parent of an autistic child. He's such a nice guy. I've met him a couple times and interviewed him. He's a wonderful human being, and he's so patient. I mean, I just can't imagine, these people continuing to regurgitate, sentences over and over again, because that's the thing to say. And this is a parent of an autistic child who has dedicated their life work to this data, this information. And actually, a lot of the staff, highly educated staff at Children's Health Defense, that started out as parents of autistic children and went and got law degrees to continue this battle and created it as a purpose to find a solution. Many of the people who work for Children's Health Defense that's exactly the case. And so somebody like, Bill Nye, the science guy, he's a character. He's a character. I mean, cool. He did cool science experiment videos for kids in elementary school and maybe middle school or what have you. Like, great. That's really cool. But what are we doing here? Propping this Bill Nye, the science guy, up. And during COVID, do you remember? They were pumping him out like this guy was an expert with his little bow tie and his little lab coat. Like, it's a character. And turns out, he's not even a science guy. He's actually a stand-up comedian. That's how he started. I believe I read that he was actually doing magic tricks. And that's kind of how he started his career in stand-up with like goofy magic tricks and whatnot. He developed a character, and he brought a lot of interest probably around science for young kids. And that's fantastic. But You are regurgitating things you know nothing about. Nothing. Unfortunately, there are parents out here who had to look at the data, who had to understand what vaccine injury really was and where it came from. We didn't want to know. We found out the hard way. Stay tuned, everybody. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
I want to shout out a big thank you to all of our supporters, members like Dave, Sandy, Sarah, Linda, Tom, John, Corey, Stephen, Mary, Tina, Kevin, Kelly, Cynthia, Jeanette, and others. It's our supporters like you that help us stay on air and keep our health community growing so much more than just, buying products from Naturally Inspired. You're supporting the movement. This movement to redefine what healthcare is, to change the medical model, to empower people, to protect people's freedom when it comes to their own choices about their own body. That is what you do by being a supporter of Naturally Inspired, just by buying products that you would probably buy elsewhere, but you're choosing to buy them here. And that means so much to me because together, that is how we're going to change the medical model in the country. So we have huge deals in the monthly flip book right now. You can view them at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Lots of buy one, get one free still. Lots of very valuable things. If you're like me, you want to have a wellness cabinet that's full of things that you have on hand. Maybe enzymes for stomachache, maybe probiotics that you need to grab if you get a tummy ache or if you are on a healing journey with your gut health. Probiotics are absolutely necessary. These are the types of things that you can get right now with buy one, get one free on the flip book. So take advantage over at naturallyinspiredstore.com. Yeah, just to wrap up the whole thing with Bill Nye, the science guy, I just think that, we were gaslit so much. And if you say that sentence, he's talking about, the ridiculous excuse. What did he say? Like, oh yeah, texts take up your phone time. Like, what? Are you counting your data minutes there, Bill Nye? It's an effort to gaslight, right? Just to plow through the issue and belittle it and act like Bobby Kennedy doesn't know what he's talking about and there's no data there. And we're so over it. You're just really discrediting yourself at this point. We are so over it. The people are awake and you're just doing yourself a huge disservice and tarnishing your character at this point. If you don't know, be quiet. Slink away. You were wrong. Let's talk a little bit about this article. This is the Washington Post, I believe. Let's bring up that article. talking about exercise. Want to lose weight? Here's why exercise probably won't help. Oh my goodness. I want to talk about this because everybody thinks you can outrun a bad diet, right? Everybody thinks that this is the case. And truth is, it isn't. This is why I want to get a few points here about exercise, and I've lost my notes here. So give me just a second. Let's see. Losing weight. Where do we go here? Yeah, so we tend to think that we can out-exercise a bad diet. And here's the truth about that, which is nobody wants to hear this. The fitter you get when you're exercising, the less amount of calories you actually burn. So somebody who is beginning their journey of weight loss and they're coming out of a sedentary lifestyle, you start moving, right? You're training your cardiovascular system, you're training your metabolism, and that may assist you in losing weight if you're putting in the right fuel. However, the fitter you get, the less calories you burn, the less energy that your body has to exert in order to complete everyday tasks. So somebody who's fit going up the stairs doesn't burn nearly the calories as somebody who is coming out of a sedentary lifestyle. Does that make sense? And so we think we can just burn off all of this weight, when in reality, we have to repair our metabolic health. Let's go to the clip here of Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, talking about Mike Tyson and his personal experience with obesity. Take a listen.
He says the biggest struggle, the biggest fight that he had in his lifetime was his fight with obesity. He was 340 pounds. He lost a sister when she was 25 to obesity, to a heart attack. And he did, the whole ad was shot in, the whole thing was conceived over about a 3-day period. And they gave him a script. The script was not working, and he just started talking. And it's an extraordinary, powerful ad. I think it's the most important ad in Super Bowl history because it's a crisis, Peter, that's existential for us now. 77% of our kids cannot qualify for military service. The obesity is off the chart. 38% of American teens are diabetic or pre-diabetic. And the cost to our country is ruinous. When my uncle was president, we spent zero on chronic disease in this country. Now we spend $4.3 trillion a year, and it's growing faster than anything in the budget, and it's going to bankrupt.
I love that Mike Tyson did this public service announcement about obesity because everybody knows Mike Tyson is an extreme athlete. The discipline that it took to develop Mike Tyson, the champion boxer, if he can be impacted by obesity, if his family can be impacted by obesity, I think we can let go of some shame around this issue because there's a lot of shame around obesity. People, the narrative out there is, oh, you just don't have any willpower. You can't control yourself. Listen, can you control your heartbeat? Can you control your heartbeat? Because you have biological urges like hormones that, like ghrelin, that actually signal hunger. And when you are eating nutrient bankrupt food, you never feel satiated. And so you are prone and vulnerable to overeat. And if a champion like Mike Tyson can share his experience struggling with obesity himself, then I think we're all susceptible to it, aren't we? Like this guy had some willpower. He was able to condition his body to a level like very few ever have. And if he just didn't have the willpower, you think he just didn't have the willpower to not be impacted by obesity? I think there's more going on there. And we can identify with that. So some other things, I found my notes on exercise. So I want to share this with you as well. I've talked about this a lot, right? So why can't you just exercise your way out of obesity or exercise your way to weight loss? Because exercise actually increases appetite biologically as well. So here diet culture is teaching you need willpower, that's all you need. Deprivation, count your calories and willpower, that's the recipe for weight loss. Meanwhile, your brain is signaling ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. And that's what I'm talking about when I say like, you have a biological need here, right? It's a hunger hormone. It's like you don't override your heartbeat. How are you going to override long-term a biological signal like ghrelin? You're not going to. Short-term, maybe, but not long-term. You're not going to be able to do it. So exercise increases your appetite biologically, so you get more ghrelin. Reward pathways are activated. The brain seeks energy replacement. So people often eat more after exercise. They snack unconsciously, and they reward themselves when they're exercising. So it's not about willpower failure, it's biology protecting energy balance. And when you're up against your biology, you are fighting your body. And if there's one thing I teach on here all the time is that you do not have to fight your body. If you're battling your body, you're doing it wrong. You're doing health wrong. You do not have to battle your body. This is not a fight. You are interpreting and communication from your body. And you're trying to act, you're trying to respond in a way that curates optimum health. The body adapts by conserving energy. This is what I was talking about earlier about like the fitter you get, the less you burn. So this is a big one, and most people miss this. When you exercise more, your body compensates by reducing movement later in the day, lowering resting energy expenditure, becoming more efficient, burning fewer calories for the same work. The body hates calorie deficits. It defends fat stores. This is why early weight loss stalls, and doing more doesn't equate in more results. People plateau despite hard workouts. Exercise does not fix insulin resistance. This is a big one. It helps restore homeostasis in the body because we can fire our muscles and that helps metabolic health, but it doesn't fix insulin resistance. For many adults, especially people over 40, weight gain is driven by insulin resistance. Exercise does not lower it enough, does not reverse metabolic dysfunction, does not correct diet-driven signaling. What does? High amounts of protein, high amounts of healthy fat, hydration, right? Support your detox pathways, move your body for overall health, but it's not the key to weight loss. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives. while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
I'm going to need a second cup of coffee, Jason. This morning is definitely a 2-cupper. I just finished my cellular reset. Starting the day off right. A little bit of cellular reset goes a long way when it comes to inflammation. Listen, if you want to sit down and talk about some of this stuff, how to connect to real solutions for health, you can schedule a free assessment at naturallyinspiredstore.com. It's free. There's a little tab on there. It says book here. You can click on that. It'll take you straight to my calendar. Book it. It's free. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about the things you're experiencing. I will share information with you, and together we'll get you on the road to optimum health. So book today at naturallyinspiredstore.com. All right, today's health topic, your health topic today, is about gut health. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about 7 steps to optimum gut health, okay? You hear a lot about gut health lately. It's the gut-brain connection. It's a leak, it's the link to inflammation, especially systemic inflammation. Our gut microbiome changes when our hormones change. It's a foundation of health. Your gut health is. It's a foundation. If you have a leaky gut, if you have a disrupted gut microbiome, you're on the path to dis-ease. And that includes things like acid reflux and heartburn, not using the bathroom every day. These are signals, okay? If you have skin issues, even brain fog, okay? A lot of these things lead back to the integrity of your gut. So I want to talk about these 7 steps to optimum gut health today. Number 1, we have to repair the gut lining first. A damaged intestinal lining, also known as leaky gut, allows food particles and bacterial byproducts to cross into the bloodstream. And that triggers an immune and a histamine response. Okay, so sometimes it's one, sometimes it's both, sometimes it's just a histamine response. Histamine response can be congestion. It can be hives on the skin. It can be skin issues like eczema or psoriasis or even acne. Okay, it can show up in a lot of ways because your skin is actually a detox pathway. And so your body will use your skin to push stuff out. Even things like skin tags when we talk about insulin resistance. Okay, so how do you repair the gut lining? Number 1, it's kind of like a heal and seal approach. So adequate amounts of protein are absolutely necessary. Okay, they're the building blocks for tissue repair, protein. You also want to include collagen, of course, because that is what helps line the mucosa around the gut. Biggest thing too is you want to remove irritants. What's causing the inflammation? You got to look at that. So things like excess alcohol, ultra-processed foods, over-the-counter pain relievers like NSAIDs, these all contribute to a leaky gut. Okay. Number 2, you want to restore the microbial balance. This is where your probiotics come into play, right? And right now, I think we even have a probiotic, a wonderful probiotic that's buy one, get one free. You can take advantage of that on the specials, on the flip book. Buy one, get one free. So you want to seal with the collagen. You want to repopulate with probiotic, because a disrupted microbiome, which is called dysbiosis, is a major driver of histamine intolerance. So if you're getting hives, if you're getting congestion all the time and you don't really know why, this is where you need to focus attention. Okay. Certain bacteria produce histamine. Others degrade histamine. Dysbiosis tilts the balance towards excess histamine. So you'll be very reactive. So what do? Reduce pathogenic overgrowth by using probiotics. Rebuild the beneficial strain slowly and strategically. Histamine issues are often microbial, not allergic. So you're sensitive. You have sensitive to exposure. And a lot of people have a hard time tracking this correlation. So they think it's coming out of nowhere. Right? They think, oh, I can't, it's so sporadic. I don't know where it's coming from. Well, it could be exposure to certain foods or toxic exposure that's in your foods. Like recently, we've learned a very popular organic bread line has a ton of glyphosate in it. Just because it says organic anymore doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have these things in it. The labeling, again, transparency is huge, right? Transparency when it comes to brand is really going to be the new organic. It's like, show us everything you do. Tell us how this food is made. We want to see it on your website. We want to see it. We want to see photos. We want to see live streams from your operation type of thing. That's how we're going to ensure clean food until we get this thing cleaned up for reals. Number 3, lower the total histamine load. So histamine symptoms aren't just about one food. They're often about a total bucket load. So histamine increases from aged foods, leftover meats, leftover meals, leftovers in general, exposure to alcohol, stress, estrogen dominance. So if you are in the swings of, maybe perimenopause where you're having all of a sudden, really heavy periods, tender chest, right? Tender breasts. These are kind of signs that you're estrogen dominant. And so you've got to address that. You've got to restore hormone balance. How do you do that? Start with diet, right? You start with blood glucose, making sure that you're eating stable food, lots of protein, not these high spikes when it comes to high carbohydrate foods, right? Also, poor sleep. That's again about hormone balance, right? It's not about treating you with sex hormones when it comes to things like perimenopause and menopause. Like, oh, just take some estrogen or take some progesterone. This is an orchestra. Your hormones are more like an orchestra. It's about tuning them all in. And the best way to tune them all in is to create the environment for them to get them all tuned in. So that means providing your body with enough protein, enough healthy fats that you sync up. The hormones go back into synchronicity. So it's not about just dialing in one certain thing. And that's the allopathic model. They always just want to give you this hormone therapy for this, right? It's not necessarily the answer. So here's some strategy here. Temporarily reduce high histamine foods. Things like aged cheese and whatnot, that can trigger histamine response until you get your gut healed, right? And then you should be able to tolerate fermented foods and aged foods. Wonderful. Once your gut is healed. So eat fresh, simple meals. Avoid stacking histamine triggers like aged cheese and leftovers or something, or alcohol and leftovers. That can create a real problem. a real reaction. Support histamine breakdown pathways. The body clears histamine using enzymes, right? So you want to make sure that you have the cofactors for those enzymes. So things like vitamin B, a multivitamin, right? A good multi-methylated vitamin is wonderful as well because histamine accumulates. Regulate the nervous system. Stress directly increases histamine release, which leads to that leaky gut or is caused by that leaky gut. So cortisol dysregulation increases gut permeability, and then you get more histamine signaling, which is inflammation, right? Inflammation. So of course you want to support your nervous system, sleep consistency, right? So improve bile flow and digestion with adequate stomach acid, gallbladder, liver support, eating without rushing. All these things are crucial to a healthy gut. We have a wonderful package for you available right now, a 4-month supply of gut support for $65, a 4-month supply. That is an incredible deal. You can go to naturallyinspiredstore.com for our package that we put together that will take care of your gut health for 4 months. Understand that signaling coming from your body, from the gut, things like heartburn, things like GERD, things like, not using the bathroom every day, inflammation in the body. If you feel puffy, if you feel like, your joints aren't moving as mobile as they used to, that's a sign of increased inflammation. And so listen to these signals because the body whispers before it screams, as I always say, and these are not things to be silenced. This is communication to be addressed. And so you want to address them properly. You've got to take out the irritants, right? So whatever may be causing the histamine response, whatever may be causing the GERD, the heartburn, the skin issues, you've got to take the irritant out and then flood the body with all of the good things to restore the gut health. So very important. You got to repair the barrier. You want to restore the microbes. You want to support enzymes. You want to calm the nervous system to make sure that you're tending to that high cortisol level because that can be a variable too. Very important. What other things, when I think of gut health, the other things I think of is if you're dealing with like brain fog, this is a great place to focus in on. If you're dealing with brain fog or even anxiety, this is also another area that gets if we don't talk about it enough, that your gut health can contribute to anxiety. It can affect mood. More and more, stuff is coming out about gut health and just fascinating stuff about our gut microbiome, how we get it, how it kind of programs neural pathways, how we feel. It's so much more complex than I think most people realize, especially even in the science area. They have overlooked the gut for a very long time. So take advantage. This is a great place to start on an optimum health journey, is addressing your gut. And right now we have some wonderful deals. 2-for-1 probiotics at naturallyinspiredstore.com. We have the wonderful package that gives you 4 months of gut support, that for $65, which is an incredible deal. These are the types of things I think that you need to have on hand in your house, in your wellness cabinet, instead of reaching for, antacids and things of that nature that really do more harm. They kick the can down the road, as I like to say. Kick the can down the road, meaning it doesn't solve the root cause, right? You're not contributing to healing. You're covering up a signal and actually kicking the can down the road for a later date. When you could be treating, you could be trying to restore a healthy gut microbiome, which is what you need for, mobility, cognitive, being sharp cognitively, and so much more. You've been listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia. Thanks so much for joining us today. See you tomorrow.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio. Save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. naturallyinspiredradio.com.